Picture this, 2002, TV spots everywhere for a movie called Signs. I'm too afraid to watch it. But when I finally see it on VHS, there's a name above the title. M. Night Shyamalan. Who was this? Then of course I had the courage to watch it, and there was this memorable, famous scene, and then I knew this was the work of a master. I went back and watched his other films, and followed up with his new ones. These 5 films are what I consider his winning streak. Yes, I even love Lady in the Water too. There's also a dark side of it. I feel like, unfortunately, Shyamalan and his films get overly criticized. Sometimes just a character attacking him with dumb jokes. Now, of course, I haven't loved all his movies, but it's super rare for any director to have a 10 out of 10 in their filmography. Night's thrillers still remain fresh, and they don't feel like the factory-made cookie-cutter horror films that get pumped out. I mean, this man keeps swinging away at bat. I mean, Shyamalan was definitely an early filmmaking inspiration for me, as he has been with others too, like Chris Stuckman on YouTube. But what really got me excited recently is his new film is a gay film. Knock on the Cabin. So this film follows a gay couple and their daughter as they're invaded by strangers while they're at a cabin resort. And these strangers force them into a very difficult decision. I really enjoyed Knock on the Cabin. I thought it was a really well-made thriller. If you are interested in watching Knock on the Cabin, I have affiliate links down below. This is going to have minor spoilers in it, so if you don't want to know anything about the movie, then you probably shouldn't watch this, but I won't be going deep into like spoilers, but I will be talking about the movie. Now let's talk about the queer context of this entire story. Knock on the Cabin wouldn't be as strong of a movie if there wasn't a gay couple at the center of it. Because if this was a heterosexual couple, it just wouldn't be as powerful. You see in these flashbacks throughout the movie how society doesn't really want them to be a couple, and how they face adversity throughout their entire lives for being who they are. The couple has to make this decision that will affect the rest of humanity. And yeah, the queer context of this is really important because it really does make the stakes higher. I feel like you could say that Signs is the closest relative to it. Shyamalan has said that Signs was inspired by like films like The Birds and Night of the Living Dead, and you could totally see that here, especially Night of the Living Dead, which I feel like is much more similar to this film than Signs was. And that everything takes place in this house, while the world around them is chaotic. And much like Night of the Living Dead and Signs, Shyamalan has said that he doesn't like to show the antagonist. Like, he likes to keep the antagonist away from the audience as much as possible. And another gay director like Roland Emmerich, he's the director of The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, Independence Day, these big disaster movies. He could have made this movie, but it would have been a totally different movie. It would have been, various angles of, aerial shots of the world burning. But Shyamalan doesn't do that. He shows this very narrow lens, and he employs the use of news footage. I mean, he's done this in Signs, like that very memorable scene, and throughout most of Signs. He did it again in The Happening, and he does it extensively in this film, showing different horrible natural disasters happening with the news camera. And there's some spectacle to those scenes, and you don't see a whole lot. You just get one perspective, a little glimpse here and there. And that makes it oddly more terrifying the less you see. What's really interesting about Shyamalan as a director is how much he storyboards everything. Actors have said that they are just told where to sit. The actors are sort of, in not a bad way, but kind of like puppets or elements for him to tell this pre-existing story. And that's fine. For me, I don't like storyboards anymore. I feel like they're anchors, and they stop the collaboration process. But actors who've worked with Shyamalan have said that they actually like it because once they feel like everything has been set in stone for them, they feel more free in a way. I know Jonathan Groff has said this in relation to this movie. People often criticize Shyamalan and his dialogue, but I would just compare it to like something like a Quentin Tarantino movie or a Wes Anderson movie. Like, yeah, most of the time their dialogue doesn't sound like real people. Like real people wouldn't say these clever, witty things, but they make sense in the world that the filmmaker creates. And Shyamalan is no different. Like his actors will say these long, poetic, formal things that you wouldn't hear in real life, but it works for Shyamalan. And if you don't like it, then it just doesn't work for you, like you wouldn't like a Wes Anderson film. But that's Shyamalan, that's his style. And I think criticism of that is just missing the point of that's the way he likes to write dialogue, and it works in the context of his films, I feel like. Now, Dave Bautista gives one of the best performances I've ever seen of his. He takes this character that could have been just a total cliche, meathead guy, and he subverts all of that and creates this super memorable character. And I would put this character that he made up there with Shyamalan's, famous characters, including James McAvoy in Split. I hope that he works again with Shyamalan because, like I said, the way that he takes Shyamalan's dialogue, it's sort of in a way that Samuel L. Jackson could take Quentin Tarantino's dialogue, and it's like a perfect marriage. One thing I will say that I wish would happen was I wish there was a kiss between the two main actors. I mean, it was kind of odd that we never see any affection from them. When if it was a heterosexual couple, you totally would have seen them just slobbering all over each other, especially when there's these very life or death situations and they don't kiss or anything. That was a bizarre choice of the movie, I do have to say. Come on, Shyamalan, give us a little kiss. Give us a little gay kiss. And I do want to say that I'm kind of a closeted M. Night Shyamalan fan because of all the hate and vitriol that he's gotten throughout the years, which I really do think is unwarranted. I mean, not every filmmaker makes, perfect movies. Yes, some of them have their ups and downs, and Shyamalan is no different. People like to talk about diversity in Hollywood, but here you have, one of the most successful Indian American filmmakers, and every single movie he gets, I feel like, is put under the microscope more so than other movies, and I don't think it's fair. Maybe that's society's twist on Shyamalan. Like someday they'll actually give him a break. If you've been liking my videos, hitting like or commenting, all of that really does help. Hopefully you'll enjoy Knock on the Cabin as much as I did.